Well, hey there, Grace Church. It is Friday, December 18th, and I want to come to you really quick and wish you a Merry Christmas. Now, you may be asking yourself, okay, Pastor Tom, thank you for the Merry Christmas. Why are you wishing us Merry Christmas this early? Well, here's why. This week, we've had a couple things develop among our elder team that we need to make you aware of. Two of our families, elder team families, have now active COVID cases. One of those families is my family, and because I tested positive today for COVID, and as well as the other family is the LaFaves. And Andrea tested positive today as well. Both of us, she began developing symptoms throughout the week. I began to develop symptoms on Tuesday evening and got tested on Wednesday and got my test results back today. Now, the good thing is for both families, our symptoms have been very mild. None of us, we're not feeling our energy loss. I haven't had temperature. I haven't had any loss of taste or smell. It's just been mostly congestion and hoarseness and a little bit of minor coughing. But as a whole, has been fairly minor for me during this period, and I think Andrea would testify to the same. But as it were, that means that the LaFave and Agnew families will be quarantining now for 10 days since the beginning of our symptoms, and we'll do our best to make sure we stay away from people during this season until we can get kind of beyond the clear here. Now, how does that affect things going forward for us as a church? Well, as a whole, the wonderful thing about being part of a church that has a plurality of elders as well as has a plurality of leadership in our church, we can carry on fairly smoothly in light of all these things. So Sunday morning, everything will go forward as usual. Delon and Justin will be there to shepherd everybody and be available for the service. Pastor Ryan, who was already preaching the same series of messages that I was preaching from John 1 through 18, he will be preaching in my stead from the exact same text that I was going to preach this coming Sunday. So it's very, very good that the Lord in his providence allowed us to come together and try to work together on this sermon series. Very, very thankful for that. So he'll be stepping in. Jordan will be leading worship as usual. Everything else will carry on just as usual. But here's what we're asking you to do. We are asking everyone to heighten their awareness to our social distancing. And we're heightening our awareness to wearing a mask as you enter and as you exit and as you move about the building. Now, we're not going to babysit anybody on this. We've tried to really maintain that throughout this series, but throughout this whole season. But at the same time, though, continuing making us aware of that these are best practices, okay? And so the elders are asking you that if, as you come, to wear a mask, and not necessarily just to protect yourself, but as a way to care for those in the church who may be more at risk in this. I mean, by God's grace, I don't really feel like this is going to be a huge risk for me, and I don't think Andrea would say the same thing. But we have folks in our church who would definitely be in the risk categories, and certainly we want them to be able to gather with us because that's what they want to do, but we want to do it in a way that is caring and sufficient for them, okay? So the elders are asking you, please be conscious of wearing a mask and being in social distancing as you come into the building on Sunday for worship. Now, how does this affect other things going on this week? Well, first and foremost, tomorrow we were supposed to have our men's bonfire, December 19th. And we are actually going to postpone that till after the first of the year, just have abundance of caution. Delon and Justin felt like that was probably the wisest choice considering me and Josh would be out. And even though there's been minimal contact between our families throughout the week, we just want to make sure that we just take extra precaution, okay? And it's not an essential ministry of our church as much as we want to do it. So we'll reschedule that for after the first of the year, so be on the lookout for that. Christmas Eve service will carry on as usual as well, but except for one change. We're not going to do two services. We're just going to do one at 4 p.m. And the reason why is because we were kind of already on the borderline of whether or not we needed two services prior to me testing positive for COVID. But because the Agnews will be out, and it's not quite sure yet whether or not the LaFaves will be out because her symptoms started a little bit earlier than mine did, we're going to wait and see whether or not that happens for them later on this week. If those two families are out, other families who've chosen and elected to watch via Facebook live instead of coming to one in person, we just feel like it's fine. We were definitely within a safe window of being able to accommodate the people that want to come to the 4 p.m. service. So if you've registered for the 5:30 service, we're just asking you, if it's okay with you, please go ahead and just go into the 4 p.m. service. That's where a majority of people have registered anyway, and so there should be plenty of spots there for everyone to sit very comfortably in there and still be able to socially distance well during your time there. Okay, so that's pretty much how everything's going to roll out. Nothing major here, other than the fact that hey, you just sometimes this is what we're handed, and you know what? It's disappointing. Of course, it's disappointing. No one wants to spend their Christmas doing this. But here's the thing that I keep reminding myself, and hopefully you'll remind yourself: is disappointment is part of the ride. It's part of the ride of living in this desert land that is so broken by sin, but our hope is in Christ. Our hope is not in the things that we do, in the rhythms that we love so much, but our hope is in Christ. And so I encourage you, I implore you to keep that thing the main thing throughout this Christmas season. Church, I love you. I'm going to miss you dearly the next Sunday and Christmas Eve as well. But you know what? The Lord has been kind. And we've been meeting now for nearly 8 months and no major issues in our church whatsoever. And so we're very thankful for that. So keep this in mind. Be encouraged. Join us Sunday for worship and hopefully be able to join us for Christmas Eve service. And let's all do it safely and mindfully for the care and love of our brothers and sisters in Christ. Guys, have a great week. Looking forward to being with you again. And have a Merry Christmas.